Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's RISMedia webinar series. I'm your host, Verl Workman, and I am excited to be here. During all of this, the midst of all of the crazy things happening in our world right now, it's a great opportunity for us to pull together as a community and as real estate practitioners and send a voice of calm through the industry. Our clients and our team members and our fellow real estate agents are all in a lot of disarray and not knowing what to do. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of things you can do. And one of the things that I'm sharing with my clients around the country today is that, and now is the time to prepare for when this thing passes. And so if you stay focused and you put a good routine together and you call your clients and you call your sphere and you do the activities that you would normally do, keeping your social distance, you're going to find that when this thing turns, it'll seem like your business is back on track very, very fast. And so I encourage you all to just pay attention to what's going on. Make sure you're getting your news from reliable news sources like RISMedia, and bring calm and stability to your families and to your communities. As we go through today, I'm going to share with you several different things, and we have great guests and great panelists today. But before I introduce them, I just want to make sure that you all know how to get into the questions and answers portion of your control panel. So if you'll all just look at your GoToWebinar control panel, there's a little button, you can push that, and it allows you to go in and ask questions. And so go ahead and write questions that you have in there, and I'll do everything I can do to monitor the questions during the call and then answer the questions that you have. I'm also going to encourage you to stay on the webinar until the very end. At the end of the webinar, I'm going to give you a link where you can download some really cool things, including a copy of today's webinar, our 24-hour open house program, and then we created for our coaching clients a 30-day action plan for your agents who are working at home. And I just threw this in at the last minute because I thought that might be valuable to all of you who are trying to figure out what to do to stay focused over the next 30 days. And so I just put that on there as a valuable giveaway for you at the end of the call. So if you'd like that, I'll give that to you. And that's just for being on. There's no cost to any of these giveaways. And then some of the things that we track in our lead tracker, we're also going to make available to you as a free download at the end of the call. And so that's available to everybody. I'm excited that you're here. I appreciate you investing your time. And that is your most valuable asset that you have. We're going for you right now is the time that you have to put into growing and learning and becoming a better agent. And so I'd like to introduce, we have a great partner, and on our RISMedia call today, Jack Markham is the general manager for a really cool company called Zurple. For those of you who have never met Jack or heard from Jack, he's a sales and a business development executive with literally years of proven experience driving exceptional results. He has an extensive track record in developing strategic go-to-market plans and building training and managing successful teams that execute at a really high level. He's known for having a high level of integrity, great leadership style, and the ability to consistently exceed whatever the company objectives are, and that's an impressive stat. He's got a great passion for learning and turning around underperforming sales teams, and by implementing and enforcing a repeatable winning sales management processes. Jack's going to be with us, and we're going to ask Jack to share a little bit about Zurple and what they're doing as a company and how we can capitalize on some of the tools that they've created from a technology standpoint. Jack, welcome, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We also have Bob Sokoler. Now, for those of you who have never heard Bob's done a couple of these webinars with us in the past, and he is a bit of a rock star. He's out of Louisville, Kentucky. He's with the Sokoler Team with RE/MAX Properties East in Louisville. He's bought and sold homes for more than 25 years in cities all over the United States. Today, he's licensed in Kentucky and in Indiana. His son, Greg, who is also licensed, and he gets to work with his son, which is really cool because I have a family business as well. He's got a team of 25 agents. He's number one in the Louisville area 11 years in a row. He's one of the highest producing offices in all of Kentucky and among the top 10 offices in all the United States. Bob's a Workman Success Systems coach. He's also a former TV and radio. He is a two-time Emmy Award-winning reporter and is known locally as a technology expert. Being a coach with Workman Success Systems is really interesting. Bob invests in learning and education. If there's a show or a conference or somewhere that bright people are getting together, you'll always find Bob in the middle of it, learning as much as he can so he can take back to help his team members become more successful. He loves computers, photography, home repair, and gardening. and just is a light and a joy, and has a tremendous amount of experience that he's going to share with us today. Bob, welcome to the call today. Thanks for joining us.
And I don't know if you can tell this, Verl, but I'm blushing, but thank you very much. Thrilled to be here.
It helps when I know you, and I know there's probably only one person I know as well as Bob, and that's Nate Martinez. Nate Martinez is out of Glendale, Arizona, which is he's actually from Surprise, Arizona, which is near Glendale. He has been selling real estate in the Valley of the Sun for over 30 years. He's the owner of Remax Professionals that was founded in 2001. He has 3 different locations, as well as a title company, a mortgage company. He also runs a 7-figure team besides his brokerages. Nate believes in education and giving back to the industry. If there's a designation that's available to you in real estate, Nate has it. ABR, CRS, GRI, CDP, ECIS. I can't even say them all because I don't have enough alphabets in my letters. He's an ePro SFR, but his most important thing is he's a senior certified coach with Workman Success Systems, and he does and has a tremendous impact on the people that he develops and coaches, not only within his own company and his own team, but the people that he really supports with Workman. And when he's not working, he loves spending time with Tanya and his 2 daughters, Brandy and Mila, and his sons Nate Jr. and Brennan, and his granddaughter Hayden, and his oldest daughter Brandy is also a lot of fun, and she's on the team as well. He's excited about a new grandson coming in a few months, and his personal philosophy comes from Wayne Gretzky that says, "Skate to where the puck is going, not to where it's been." And I love Nate. Nate's one of the givers in the industry. He's always willing to share, and I appreciate you being here, Nate. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you. So am I.
So let's jump in, if we can, first right out of the chute, and invite Jack to just share us a little bit about Zurple and how Zurple's doing, and so what you guys have been up to as a company.
Absolutely. Excited to be here, and I think that the topic couldn't be a better topic for right now, as we think about how agents have to kind of think about their business today, and then how do they scale over the next couple of years, doubling down on leads. And so the content that these agents are going to get today from this expert panel is going to be bar none. So Zurple is part of the Constellation Real Estate Group. Constellation Real Estate Group is really 16 companies, and Zurple being one of those companies. 500,000 agents using products across the U.S. and with that, we pay attention to what best practices are being used and what some not so best practices are being used. And as you listen to content today, right there, if you look at the buying and selling journey, we want a lot of leads to be in this phase 3, and we hope that all of our leads that we generate and spend time and money in to generate are in phase 3. But the reality is that not every lead can be in that final phase of buying or selling. So there are 2 other phases, and 80% of leads that we generate in this industry end up in this pre-research phase, right? And this is now that we all have cell phones, a form of entertainment for consumers like us. We like to search online, and we become leads now a lot quicker in the process than we ever did before. So what Zurple's doing is we are connecting agents to these consumers way earlier in the timeline, so that agents and consumers are working together what is relevant content. I believe that agents can't force a consumer down this timeline, but they can influence consumers down this timeline by providing relevant content. As a consumer, we are addicted to personalized information, personalized content such as Facebook and Netflix and Amazon. And as the real estate agent, our job has shifted to how do we provide more personalized information to consumers to help influence these decisions. And that's really where Zurple comes in. If you go to the next slide, Verl, for a minute, you'll see that Zurple's really focused on lead intelligence. And most of Zurple's technology is really forced by behavior triggers that consumers are doing. So the system is constantly learning and designed to get agents more conversations with consumers. So we know there's only so many hours in the day, and we know that the most valuable time an agent can spend, especially what you're going to listen to today with listings, is agents should be spending their time on tasks that are more one-on-one, face-to-face interactions with consumers, listing presentations, open houses, just any one-on-one interaction. What goes by the wayside a lot is this nurturing. How do we constantly nurture leads that we pay for, spend time and money on, down this line to where we can have more interactions one-on-one. And Zurple, what Zurple does is takes those behavior triggers, takes a little bit of artificial intelligence, and has conversations on behalf of the agent and moves consumers down this path. We're seeing about a 50% open rate and a 17% reply rate on all communications that go out by Zurple. And so really what it does, it combines this nurturing with lead intelligence and allows the agent to get more time back in the day. So instead of, especially right now, as agents are looking like, what do I do? How does this impact the cost of my business? Instead of going down that path of hiring maybe a marketing manager or someone that's going to answer these emails one by one, Zurple can do that for you. So when you think of Zurple, it's more behavioral marketing automation, very predictive lead intelligence conversations, and it helps with some seller lead generation. So that's kind of Zurple in a nutshell, kind of what we're working on and how we think about this.
I think it's fascinating. So many people are focused on lead generation, and they tell you if they only had more leads, they'd sell more houses. And when we go and look at their businesses from a coaches or consulting standpoint, what we realize is that they're not converting enough because they stop communicating too early in the process. Hold on, sorry, I'm in the middle of an earthquake.
Are you kidding?
Oh, really?
Is that aftershock? Oh boy. Ladies and gentlemen, there was an earthquake in Salt Lake this morning, and there have been aftershocks throughout the mid-morning and into the afternoon Eastern time. So that may be what is going on with Verl right now as he grapples with his staff, his community. So understand, let's keep our fingers crossed that everything is going okay there. And I'm not sure if who's taking control of the webinar from Salt Lake standpoint, or if we have access to it. Nate, do you have access?
I do not. Chet, are you still there? I don't know if you can hear us. I just love it, Bob. You just got right into your newscast.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I did it for 25 years, so it's kind of like old hat. So for those of you who are just joining us, there are about more than 200 people who are online with us now from around the country and maybe even around the world. We're all dealing with the virus and concerns. Verl, who is the head of Workman Success Systems, is in Salt Lake this morning. There was a 5+, and I'm not sure it was 5.4 earthquake. Verl, are you back with us?
It was 5.7.
5.7. So in many of us, up until last week, we're going to fly into Salt Lake yesterday and today for a coaches meeting that we have on a regular basis. Verl called that off because of the coronavirus. Luckily, I mean, you can't believe that what's happening there today, and we would have all been on the ground or trying to land right about an hour or so ago for me. And obviously this was, who could have even thought about this? So again, Verl is in Salt Lake with his team at his office, and what we don't know is what happened to him. And the question we have—
It shows offline. It shows that he's offline. So
he is offline. So yeah. Do we have any access? Who's speaking to us right now?
This is Jack. I'm still on the line.
Oh, good. Okay, Jack. And you don't have the actual.
I do not. No.
Okay. So
Chet, like he's online. Chet, he's got his mic on.
Chet, if you are there, let us know, because we can, both Nate and I can go forward. We know what we need to do or say, and we can just do it without moving forward.
Well, we just lost the presentation, just went down.
Yeah. Working on it right now, guys. We'll get back up and running here in just 1 second.
Okay. So if you are, I'm going to put out a note to stand by to everybody. I bet you this doesn't happen all the time, right, Nate? When we do a webinar that
first time ever.
Yeah. All right. Hopefully you are all still there. I see our slide deck is up. Slide on through it. Chet, if you're running it, just go on through to my part of it, and if Verl gets back on, we can go there. Okay. So let's keep going forward, gang. Remember, for all of us, it's all about staying in a forward, positive attitude. Many of us around the country have stopped or postponed doing open houses because of the coronavirus. I had just gone out just a couple of weeks ago and bought 50 plus signs to put out for our open houses. So that has pretty much been put on hold. But the cool thing is we're about to show you how you are able to still hold open houses virtually and in single form to make it safe for you. So Chet, advance that slide deck one more and let me show you. About 3 years ago, I attended a mastermind where this idea came out of and was generated. I came back from this mastermind and created this sign. And basically, it's open house every day. Notice call for times. And for those of you who don't know, I created the 200tours.com. And then we've just added, and I'm not sure if anybody can see the video that we're putting out here, but we've added text open to the phone number that is down there below the 200-1555. That was the premise. And then Randy Standard, great guy, owns VoicePad, and I had a meeting and we were just talking about things that we're both doing, and he took this idea and then blew it up on steroids. So he created, and let's go to the next slide, he created a open house every day, and we're going to use ours, but you can use this. When you hear how this works, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread for anybody, especially now. So let's say you're going to a listing presentation and you're telling to your potential seller, oh, listen, open house is pretty much on the hold right now because of the coronavirus. You got too many people coming in. We can't keep control of them, but we can open your house every day with a sign. And here's how this works. This type of a sign goes out in front, and then there's a specific number that people can either call or text open to the number that you provide. Note that 20% of the people who see this sign will text, 80% will call. It's just the numbers. Go to the next slide. Let's show you how this works. So this is how it works. So the open house sign is seen at the front of the house, and when they call, they get a welcoming, hey, welcome to the open house, and presented by you as a realtor. Now you have an option to flip on or off. Are you working with an agent? If you flip it on and they say yes, it can go to somebody on your team or just to a recording. If the person says no, you have a potential live buyer that you want to get in contact and in front of. So while they're hearing, please hold, while I connect you, this call may be recorded for security and training purposes. And by the way, that may or may not be there based on your state, because some states require any recordings to be acknowledged or told to the other side of it. So then what's happening is in the background, and this is how we have it set up, I've got 25 fabulous agents who I love and adore. Their phones ring all at the same time. This is while the message, please hold. So the first one who grabs it, who's not with a client, who may be by their computer or able to stop their car and grab it, picks up that call and now is connected directly to that person calling in. From that point, the agent is introduced, the call is recorded, and for all of my fellow agents and team leads around the country, I cannot tell you how important it is to be able to review the good and the bad and advise the bad with better scripting, and then promote the good in front of a team meeting as an agent who got it right. This is what you need to do, aspire to. So you can hear that call later. And then this can also be managed via an open house app that the agents can make notes on. And when they make those notes, it goes into the CRM, so it's recorded. So it is basically a one-stop shop for handling live calls. And again, the key to this for all agents is that you're able to promote to your potential seller that even in this bad economy, in what we're dealing with, in what we're facing with in open houses, you can still provide a path that other agents haven't been able to figure out, because you're opening up the house every day. That way you can control one person at a time. There's also, as we get forward, let's move it next over, Chet, because we've looked at this for long enough. Let's move it to the next slide. So we track on the back end all of the calls. This is what it looks like on the CRM and the background for open house. Now, mind you, This was also part of VoicePad. If you used VoicePad, this is the same company, Randy Standard, brilliant guy, former AT&T big guy who left and created this. Let's move forward on the next slide, and you will see some of the other stuff that we track. So these are our listings. This tells us who's calling in, and then if we go to the next slide after that, you'll see what we do in terms of following up who received the call. And it's a little off my screen here because I've got this on, but it will tell me which agent received it and what was done with it. It works perfectly, and these agents are using this as much as humanly possible. Go to the next slide.
Hey, Bob, real quick, just got a call from Verl. He is okay.
Yeah.
Everybody to know that they're just offline at the office where he's at. So just want to report that.
Not a problem. Great to hear, Verl. We got you covered. Don't worry, buddy. So following up, we're able to track, and there's a variety of ways to track, but where the lead came from, we get information. It goes into the CRM. Let's go to the next slide, and then we will show you that you can use this via your app on your phone, so it makes the scheduling easy. So let's talk about the script that somebody calls and says, hey, listen, I saw this sign 123 Main Street. How does that work? Let's go to the next slide. So you answer it, and you basically have settings that you can set on the back end. This is why I love this so much. You think I'm a little excited about this? I love this. You can set the settings individually based on the time frame. One more slide forward, if you would, and you will see what those settings look like. So you can set the recording to call or not, to ask for if you've got agent representation on the back end or not, depending on how you want. And in just a few minutes, Nate's going to talk more about whether you should filter or not. He's got some great information that he has. But then the other thing that you can do is set the text to what your open house time limit is. So let's just say your seller wants at least 2 hours or 4 hours. You're able to set a time limit. So it would say, listen, we can get you in the house in 4 hours. Our seller on this particular house needs a 4-hour advance time. Would you like to do it at 2 o'clock or at 4 o'clock? Giving them that option and using that script. That gets you in there with them, in front of them, and you are off to the races, potentially, to land a buyer for your client's house. Go to the next slide, if you would, on that. So pricing, everyone wants to know, and let's face it, folks, I, like everybody else, have a budget, and especially now, we need to be very cognizant of the money that we're spending. But if you look at these, the prices for a single agent, $39, $99, these are on discount. This is, if I'm in the market, and I am, I use the system, I'd be thinking about this loud and clear. So that's an overview of this. This is a brand new system that is just being rolled out. I've been using it. I see results. Obviously, your results may vary, but this is something that we want to present to you as how to put your house on steroids, get more potential buyers and listings using this technology. Nate, I turn it over to you, buddy.
All right, thank you. Thank you for going over that, because I, too, am a Randy Standard fan, and I have the system. I've just not put it into place yet. But after listening to you, I'm going to get off my butt, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next. I'm going to talk a little bit about marketing. You know, some of the stuff that we do, we try to still do a lot of direct marketing, and that's kind of the bling in the presentation. So what you're looking at here is basically a 4-paneled, hard stock, high gloss marketing piece that goes out to the same neighborhood over and over again. Blackstone just happens to be one of my farm areas that I live in. If you could see the panel where it says Blackstone with the beautiful golf course there, and then that's going to be the front of the piece, and the back of the piece is to the left of that, and then the inside has the 2 inside panels. This gets mailed out every single month, and you really can't see in here, but it does state if you want information on one of these homes to dial a number and put in a code. So one of the things with an IVR system like a voice pad, we're able to track, and I'll show you later after some of these things on how we track where our calls are coming from, because it's very important if you're spending marketing dollars that you're tracking exactly what kind of return you're getting. On a piece like this that goes out over and over and over again, I want to be the marketing leader in the community. I would say I'm probably either 1 or 2 in this community all the time. There are great agents that work within the community, but we're very consistent in our marketing piece. We're just delivering what has happened in the last 30 days or what's currently on the market and what's sold. So this just goes out every single month like clockwork. It goes out first class mail, and it's ready to go. So you can go ahead and flip through. Next slide. The next slide that we have, there it is this is just a basic newsletter that goes out to my past client database. I have about 3,600 people get in this piece every single month. And if you notice the same type of layout, it's a front and back and 2 inside panels. So you can see where the pictures of all the houses are. We basically limit, again, this is, learn this through Workman, limit the information. Like on this one here, there's no bedrooms, there's no bathroom, there's no price, but we're constantly telling them to call that number and enter in the code. Now the difference between the code that we're showing on this one and the code on the previous piece, the last digit changed so we can check where the marketing piece came from. So go ahead and go to the next slide. This is just a brochure. This is a high-end brochure of one of our nicer homes. And this is just the type of marketing that we place. So you'll notice all of our marketing that's going out to the public is really trying to go after, and most of the marketing I'm showing you, other than my newsletter, which is not focused on the higher end, but most of my marketing in my 3 farm areas that I'll show you all have a higher end look because they're all probably 450 to $1 million plus type neighborhoods. But mostly I would say an average of maybe $500,000 or $600,000 is our average marketing piece that's going out to. So you can go ahead and click to the next slide. So this is a every door direct type postcard. This postcard is 8.5 by 11. Again, with this postcard, we go with limited information. We have a lot of pictures. You don't know if this house is 3 million or 750. But again, we're using a call number for them to call in and enter a code. And on this particular type of postcard, the last digit, if you notice on the right-hand side there, at 20183, 3 is telling me that's an every door direct postcard. I'll show you again at the end of where all these things tie together. We mail out on every high-end listing, what I call a high-end listing, like $500,000 or above. We'll mail out a postcard like this. The cost of a postcard like this, again, this is cardstock, high gloss, full bleed. We're getting them printed as low as 14 cents. And through every door direct mailing, it's about 14 cents. So it's about 28 cents per house that we mail out. But we are sending high volumes out. So go ahead and go to the next. Now, I got a little time. I'll tell a little story. If you go back one slide, we started doing this and we started utilizing this type of marketing 5-6 years ago. I learned it actually from one of our friends, Bob at Star Power back then. And he was doing this, and what he was doing is also creating a beautiful marketing piece. And then I was listening to Steve Jobs back before he passed, and I watched what he did when he launched products. He would launch his iPhone, and people would camp out, spend the night trying to buy a phone. And I thought, how amazing is that? Or he would have his annual event where he tells you all the great things that they're going to be releasing, get you all excited. He says, well, you can't order for 30 days, right? So I took that idea with all of our listings that before we hit the market, we would do all the photography, the video, and we would send this piece out. This one doesn't show it, but we would have like a 1-hour open house. So we would send out, 1,000 of these postcards, up to 5,000 postcards, and we would invite the neighborhood to an open house, and we'd have that open house only be 1 hour. My goal was try to make the open house look like an Apple store. Every Apple store I've ever been to on the planet is packed, and I wanted to have at least 10 people in that open house at the same time, hoping 2 things would happen. One, it would cause the house to sell immediately, and to sell for top dollar for my client, and also possibly having multiple offers. My goal really was just to have one person in the house that was interested in buying the house, but the other 9 or 10 people, he's looking at them and thinking, I better beat these guys to the punch. And let me tell you, that type of marketing, that type of explanation and listing presentation goes a long, long way. So you can go ahead and skip, but that's kind of my Apple marketing strategy.
Was that Zach Pasmatic who was doing that, or
that was
Marvellius?
from Glendale, California, Albert. Remember Albert?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, right.
Albert taught me that, and I'm indebted to him for life. Bottom line is what I have here, again, is just a just listed type postcard where this is, again, like a magazine. It's a different dimension. You can see it's probably about 7 inches by 12 inches, and it folds. So I happen to have 2 villas on the same street. So instead of sending out 2 postcards, I did this double booklet type postcard that got mailed out. And again, same type of information is there, so we can come back and track what's working. You can go to the next slide. The next one is, again, so you saw that Blackstone piece where we had a lot, they didn't have much, well, that one had some listings for sale. In Arrowhead, right now, we're out of listings, so instead of sending the big piece, we kind of narrowed down to a small piece where we turned a just sold listing in there, and then we gave the information at a glance of what's going on in that particular community. So you can go to the next slide. It's pretty much the same thing. Again, the gates of the spots.
Nate, I got to jump in. Your photography is spectacular. Who are you using? A local pro?
Yeah, I have a local guy that is absolutely amazing. When it comes to photography, Bob, you know this, the best photography you can have, especially on the internet, right? Yep. Wherever your house is, I try to control the photography so that the consumer, if they're on Zillow or Realtor.com or Redfin or whatever the myriad of websites, I need to control the content that's being displayed. So we want to make sure we have the best photography so it really pops off the page. And again, that's one of our staples, and a lot of my competition have hired my photographer, but that's good. All tides raise everybody else's ship, right? Well, thank you.
You got to do what I did. My son is my photographer. I taught him a little bit about what I know, and then he took it to a whole new level, and his stuff is spectacular. But I tell him, you only work for us, buddy boy. You don't hire out.
Right.
Yeah.
But being an owner of a real estate company, so I do share all my marketing secrets with our agents, and actually I'm an open book. I share with them.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
All right, next slide. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the back-end report of VoicePad. And you can see, this goes back a year, and you can see how many people are accessing the system. Now, the system doesn't work as well as maybe did 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago. I've been using the system a long time because everybody has an app. Everybody's showing up to the house. They have their app and their way of finding out information. But these are the people that actually called off of the sign writer. That's what we're looking at here. So basically, we had 261 calls, 33 texts, 166 people are using the website that's built into the app. And it just kind of gives you an idea of where the calls are coming from. Interestingly enough, the payment calculator, again, not a lot of people, but those are pretty hot leads when they come through. We don't really have the next slide, but I think Bob had it up there. When you show the back end, you can see what house somebody called on, and you can see details if they use the mortgage calculator, if they hit 0 or hit 1 to transfer to one of our agents live. We can follow all the clicks, so to speak, that they're doing online to find out who are the most probable people of maybe making a purchase. The one thing about technology like this, let's say the neighborhood Blackstone that we were talking about. So over the course of a year, I might sell 20 homes in Blackstone, let's say. And every time I have a house for sale, let's say 10, 15 people, let's make it easy. Let's say 10 people on every house use this voice interactive system and we capture that information. So every time we have a new listing, we can go back to all the houses that we had before, and we can make a real simple call. Say, hey, Bob, you called on one of our properties in Blackstone that we had on the market earlier this year. We want to let you know we have a new one coming on the market next week. It's 3-bedroom, 2-bath on the golf course with an amazing view, right? So we can start pre-marketing to people that already raised their hand for that specific market type. And I think that's one of the most genius things about having some type of system that whatever you're doing is you have to source where the call comes from. You really do. All right, next slide. Now, in this example, this is just showing where most of the calls are coming from. So we use a flyer box in front of the house. Now, we did this moons ago, and when I got involved with Workman several years ago, Verl used to say, hey, you don't have any sign calls. And I go, no, I don't know. We're not tracking it, you know? So what we put in place is putting the flyer box back on the house, putting a flyer in front of the house, again, with no descriptors. It doesn't say how many bedrooms. It's just going to have some really cool photography. And for more information and current pricing, please, somebody was calling me, sorry. Please click here. So, and then they will get connected to one of our agents, okay? So in here, we could see that the front of the flyer was the #1 marketing piece that was coming into our system. The yard sign, because it's tagged different, right? The yard sign just has a 0 at the end. The flyer has like #1, right? And going all the way down the different aspects, so we know exactly where our marketing dollars should be spent. Okay, next slide. The next slide is just basically this is what we're going to give away today, right? This is the lead tracker. Now, being a realtor for 34 years, about 4 years ago when I started coaching with Verl was my coach, we realized I was not tracking every lead that was coming in the door. I did a good job for 29 years of tracking the closing and where the person came from, but I was not tracking what was coming in the door. And as a team leader, you need to know this, or as an individual, by tracking what's coming in the door, what's making the phone ring, and where you're spending money, you need to track that. You also need to track your conversion ratio. So on every lead that comes into the system, we're gonna rate them an A, a B, or a C, a lead, and we have follow-up systems for both A, B, and C. But everything starts here with their name, their phone number, their email, when the lead came in, when we first contacted them, when's our next scheduled talk. Now, this isn't a CRM. This is just data tracking, lead tracking. We can put in the source. What we found out before we did this, sometimes we guess at the source, right? Because it's, you know, it's maybe 90 days later, but we were able to guess then. Now we know exactly. Here's something we just did a screenshot yesterday of leads that have come in so far this year. We've had 282 leads come in from various different places. You know, we had 15 agent referrals. We have a value of those leads at $146,000 worth of potential revenue. But here's the big thing, guys. At least in my marketplace, I moved away from a lot of online lead marketing to basically going back to old-fashioned open houses. And we've generated 173 leads at open houses. Well, that's worth $2.4 million in possible commission. That is our focus, guys. You can see that all the other stuff I'm spending money on is bringing less leads and just doing a detailed open house. So our team is doing open houses every week. We did some this last weekend. We're debating if we're going to do any more this weekend. But this is how we can track what works, right? Now, I don't have the tracking of our closings in front of us to share, but what we do is we track our leads against our closings, and we start to look at what is our conversion rate. And when you look at your business at a very high level to see what's coming in the front door, what's being left, right? Because maybe, you know, what we do with a lot of different tracking systems that we learned from the Workman system is we can see where an agent is. They might be killing it on getting the lead, but maybe they're not converting, right? Our goal is each one of our team members to have 2 face-to-face meetings every single week, 8 meetings, or that'd be 8 meetings a month. And if they're converting at 30%, they're closing about 2.5 transactions a month. That is the focus, and that is the flow of what we continue to teach our team members. And we flow this into our real estate company as well, which is a little bit more difficult because we have so many great trainers out there, and everybody has their favorite trainer or coach that they have. But we provide all the Workman training within our brokerage. Right now we're having both BAM Live and Slam Live going on. They're going virtual this week since we're not bringing everybody into the office. So we're utilizing the tools that Workman has put in front of us. And bottom line, it's helped us grow. It's been a wonderful experience. You know, so I'll kind of pretty much stop there. I think that was my last. Yeah.
No, that's good. So let's go back and forth and some questions. I saw one come in, which was asking how to get in contact with the open house every day that I talked about. So a couple of things, jot this down, folks. 855-855 2590 is the number, and I'll repeat this a couple of times here. And then the website to go look at it in detail is, of course, www.openhouseeveryday.com. So again, the phone number 855-855-2590. It's kind of a cool number, huh? And then openhouseeveryday.com. And then on one of the things that we're taught by Verl as coaches is to put open houses on steroids. And Nate, are you doing the door-to-door and canvassing that Verl talks about, or have you decided you're not going to do it?
Well, we have. Now, here's the deal. I got about 7 agents that are on the team. I would say 3 of them are really killing it in the open house arena, both in their amount of leads they're generating for themselves. And on my team, if you're a buyer's agent, you're a listing agent. You're one and the same. So they're listing houses as well based off the open houses. Now, the ones that are doing more of the open house on steroids, that are really starting on Monday marketing the open house that they're having on a Saturday, and ones that are going out and knocking some doors, the more you put into the open house, the more you're going to get out of it. So we have a benchmark, which we haven't really hit on a 100% basis, but the benchmark that we're trying is to get 10 registered buyers through every open house.
That's whether they are working with an agent or not, or just not working with an agent so your buyers can pick them up.
Yeah, we're going to get the address and phone number that we can follow up, right? That's what I would call a registered buyer. Now, the key there is it's hard to do. It's hard to get 10 people into an open house, number one, right? And so that is our focus. That's our benchmark. That's what, when people say, well, I only got 3 through the open house. I go, well, did you door knock? Did you do a Facebook Live? Did you start circle calling earlier in the week to let the neighbors know that you're doing an open house? And if they say no, then I say, well, you may want to try that to increase your at-bats, right? Because the key is you got to get people, you got to get bodies into the open house, and then you got to have a way to convert, right? I could tell you the story of two different agents on my team. One of them is willing to try the iPad. I went out and bought iPads for each one of my team members, right? And I just labeled them, iPad 1, 2, 3. And what I would do is have them check them out. The one agent that is religiously using his iPad for registration is getting 4 to 1 over the agents that are using paper.
Repeat that again. Repeat that again.
That's what's repeating. The one that's using the iPad as a source to get the people's name, address, and phone numbers, getting 4 times more leads than the one that's using paper.
Are they using a specific app on iPad, or is it just an entry sheet?
Yeah.
I know there are a couple of apps that you can download. One's like $10.
I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it does automatically import right into your CRM, right? So it will.
I'm checking it now.
Yeah. And I can't remember which one it is right now because that iPad is dead and I would be able to open it. But there, whatever it is, the technology of just people are very, and I'll give you this example one more time. The 2 agents did a booth at Phoenix Children's Hospital. We had the opportunity to go to an expo for all their employees. They have thousands of employees at these hospitals, from people that are cleaning to nurses, doctors, cooks in the cafeteria, etc. It's a whole ecosystem. So every year they have this fair and they bring all types of businesses in. So one person was using the iPad, and in the, 2 hours that they were there, had gotten 16 leads. The other person got 3 or 4, the old school way of having them fill out a piece of paper. I think people are just more comfortable typing into a computer.
I completely agree. I checked online that whether your Droid store, the Google store, or Apple, if you do a search for open house, that's going to bring up a number of apps. I would tell you maybe it doesn't matter what the app is as long as you have an app that they can be handed and they can sign in. Now, let's shift a second, Nate. We haven't talked about this. Obviously, we haven't prepared for this part of this, but in this day and age, in what we're dealing with the coronavirus, So we all have to make our own decisions on whether we're going to hold open houses or not. My team and I have decided to hold for 2 weeks, but also offer virtual open houses, which would allow you as the person to promote, and again, check with your individual board to make sure that they'll allow this on a Facebook page or on a website or even YouTube, to walk through a house holding it open virtually. If you're going to hold an open house and you're going to hand somebody an iPad, I'm holding it. I don't know if you folks can see this because I'm not sure we're broadcasting video, but I'm holding a bottle of Clorox disinfecting wipes, which the problem is going to be finding them. They're in short supply. So if you can find them, get a couple of bottles or jars. Also get some plastic gloves that you can provide to buyers walking in or for yourself. If you're showing the house using the Open House 24/7 program that we did, you may want to present the buyers at the entry with a plastic gloves, a bootie for your shoes, and then walk through where you've got wipes that you're able to use as you're going through turning on switches, turning off switches. One of the other things, Nate, and I'm not sure you put any protocols into place yet, but we did, where we're asking sellers if we were going to do an open house, and it may not be until 2 or more weeks, to turn lights on and leave them on, and then ask agents not to turn them off when they're done showing the house, so that only the sellers are able to go through it. And then when the agent goes for an open house, it's already on. Just some more safety precautions. Have you worked on any of those at this point?
Yeah, we have. As a brokerage, we had to get out in front and not wait for somebody to create. We did learn from our friend Kevin that owns a RE/MAX office, Integrity, in Oregon, that shared with us, and we took his information and plus for our market. But right now, today, as of this week, we closed all of our offices. We went to virtual. They still have access to the office, and we still have people going in every day, checking on the offices and wiping them down. But we created protocols, just you use the word, right? So we have a listing protocol. So basically, we go through and tell them everything about what's going on, and then we give them a showing confirmation form that we show them. And what we're doing now for people that are concerned about people coming into their house, we're doing the same 4 questions that everybody asks. Example, one of my team members had a flat on Monday. Before AAA would come out, they asked them, have you been out of the country in the last 14 days? Do you have a cough or flu-like symptoms? Are you running a fever, right? And so those are things now that we can do. And NAR also came out with their policies that it's perfectly okay for us to ask those questions. So if a seller wants us to ask those questions, we just have them sign that on an addendum to our listing, and then we have all types of information. So if you were going to show one of my houses, Bob, and the seller says, only let people in that were screened with these questions, we would send you out the 4 questions for you to sign and basically fill out for all guests that we're going to be going with you. And that will allow people to, and we're asking for a 2-hour prior to, right? So we're asking them to scan that and send it back to us. We did not make it mandatory, yet we made it informative, and we gave it as a tool to our agents to utilize. And I can't really tell you how that's working because it's just launched.
Brand new, yeah.
We also created a thank you for doing your part to go on the front door of a seller, and it says to make every effort to protect everyone's health, RE/MAX professionals on behalf of the sellers is requiring the seller's consent. The following steps to be taken prior to entering the home. And it just goes on about making sure they have filled out the questionnaire, if they sanitize their hands immediately when coming in, which will have sanitizer there. And what we're telling our sellers to do is open up all the closets so nobody has to open up anything, right? Just have it displayed open, right? Not every cabinet drawer or anything like that, but the pantry, the closet doors, what have you, and having all the lights on, and just trying to do our part. If anybody would want this information, I'm sharing with Verl today, everything that we put together along with videos, and we created a video from the ownership of RE/MAX, that if our agents want to push that up to their sellers, explaining this process from a third party instead of them, we have that available for them too. So
we've taken another step also, and you may have already done this, Nate. We basically taken that verbiage and I'm more than willing to share this. I'll send it to Verl. We've started putting on all of our agent notes online and in showing time, the verbiage about please make sure that you and or your buyers don't have a temperature, ask the questions. We haven't gone to the point yet, and that may change today, of asking them to sign a document at this moment.
I heard from my son earlier our market's hot. He says he's been working the same buyer, has written on 5 separate homes. All of them had multiple offers. He's $5,000 on average above. We're $250,000, $300,000 price range. He's coming in $5,000 above. He said some houses he's getting to, there's a waiting line of people to get into. So, but he did tell me that our showing time now has a warning coming up before showings. I have not read it on the detail, but everybody's getting involved in making sure everybody's covering their butt, so to speak, right?
I think the key element for all of us as active working agents in this industry is to remain calm. Don't feed into the panic that some people, some TV stations are doing. And again, remember, I'm a former television anchor reporter. If you look up my name, you'll find lots of video online. You'll see what I looked like when I was thinner and had more hair. Yeah, I got you. But they sell papers and they bring in viewers by promoting not necessarily the best in what's happening. So the goal is for all of us as agents, team leaders, as brokers, to maintain calm, collective. We're doing every day now, we're doing an online Zoom session. And by the way, zoom.com, free for up to 40 minutes daily, as many times as you want. I'm thinking about buying stock in the company because I think this is a great company. This is really coming to, I'm sure GoToWebinar's not so thrilled about me promoting Zoom, but they're not dealing with it. But then we all meet, it records, then I upload it to Vimeo or to YouTube, and then I send it out to all the agents so they can review what we said. So the morning huddles that Verl has been pushing us as coaches to implement is become so important, and it's a feeling of community. Don't you feel, Nate, that you're all together, not in person, obviously, because we're now respecting the social distance. I heard the Surgeon General this morning saying social distancing, not social there was something else he added to it where we're not, and I'm not sure what he said, but it was just not, we don't break apart completely. We still stay online when we can, phone calls. So I'm sure it's going to come to me. But my point is that we as the people who are working in this industry need to stay calm and move us forward and hopefully make sales.
I would agree. I would probably add one other thing is, like we had the great sponsors of Zurple on here today. When we get leads, whatever leads they need to go into some CRM, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Hundreds of leads we get, companies like Zurple, it doesn't matter what CRM you're using. You just have to use the CRM you have, right? So many people want to know what is the best one. We've been saying for years, the one that you have, right? The one you use.
The one that you use, right? Yeah. Yeah.
And most people move from software to software based on one thing because they see, we love shiny objects. There's a new shiny object over there. But I would guess, and I think I'm pretty accurate at that most agents that are using a CRM are lucky to be using 10 to 20% of the power that the CRM has. They just have so much stuff in them these days. So the nice thing about Zurple, I guess, is the analytics, the predictive analytics, and the machine learning that their software is doing.
You bring up a really good point, Nate, about shiny objects. And I, as Verl will tell you, I am an offender of this. I will, if I see something, I'll grab it and employ it and try to use it. So one of the things I plan to do during this slower period, 2 weeks, and this may be something you've already thought of, Nate, and everybody watching, and maybe not. I've got multiple credit cards. I put all my stuff on credit cards, and I pay in advance to make sure I don't have a bill carrying over at the end of the month. So my plan is to take 2 of the credit cards that I've used for a long time and report them as stolen or cancel them and issue me a new number. What that will do is it will force all vendors that have been being paid on an automatic draw from that particular card to resurface to me and then have me acknowledge that as they come in, whether I want them to continue or not. Obviously, if we've got a contract with them, that's a different story. But this gives us a way to filter and maybe pare down and reduce our expenditures as we move forward in this new economy that we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. I think we're getting to the end of the call. I mean, if there's anything that Bob or I can do, or Workman Success Systems or Zurple, I guess please reach out in chats, and we'll be happy to share anything that we got with you.
Notice the free giveaways that should be on your screen, which shows for you to go to workmansuccess.com/buzz, and that's where you'll find your Nosy Neighbor Open House plan, today's presentation, 30-day action plan, and this incredible lead tracker that Verl is giving away. This is worth the time you spent alone, folks, because this can change your business by tracking where leads are coming from and which ones are converting.
Yeah, one of the best tools that I've implemented in years.
Yeah. All right, so let's wrap it. Nate, as always, you know, you're my brother, and I look forward to down the road seeing you again. And
yeah, we're supposed to be in Salt Lake together tonight, having dinner, I'm sure.
That was the plan, but not anymore. And let's just cross our fingers, pray for Verl if you pray, and for everyone in Salt Lake that this was not too serious. Verl, you said, called in and said everything is okay?
Got the call. Yeah, and you know, I guess for that thing, you know, let's pray for everybody in the world, because it's a different world today. And thank you guys for joining us. Bob, thank you for taking the leadership role and jumping in for Verl when he disappeared on us.
That's
so
not a problem.
I've never been on a call where earthquake has interrupted the program and it went on. So a lot of people would have stopped, right?
Well, no, not us, buddy. Listen, a quick note. There's a TV show, folks, you may not think this is worthy of your time, but I'm just going to tell you a little tidbit. It's the crisis across the heartland. I'm not sure which channel had it. It documented the day that the World Trade Center was hit by the two planes. At that time, I was on the air here in Louisville on 840 WHAS. I anchored the morning show on radio at that time. I look at the monitor, I see that the World Trade Center is on fire. We were in a sportscast. I interrupt the guy who was doing the sportscast, Paul Rogers. It almost seems like it was yesterday. And I said, Paul, I got to stop you. Something's going on. The World Trade Center is on fire. Not sure what's happening. And then that within minutes spiraled into what we all now know as 9/11 and the tragedies that occurred there. So for me, that was no big deal to jump in, but my heart, as it was then and is now, to everybody who's suffering from this virus, from this earthquake, and let's just hope this is the worst that we see this year, huh?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for listening, guys.
Take care.